Well, with me, and I've got to make sure I get this right, the new Treasury Minister, Dr Alex Allsion. Well, it's the first time I think we've chatted since you got the position. Did you want it? Was it a surprise? Are you happy to have it?
I'll do those in reverse order. Yeah, happy to have it. Yes, it was a surprise. Do I want it? When you're offered one of the top jobs in government, you'd be a fool to say no. Saying that, I do apologise to all the staff at Department for Enterprise because I was really enjoying my time there. Very sad to see David Ashford obviously resign his post, but understand his reasons, and he made those quite clear in the House of Keys this week. And I was asked to step up and try to fill his shoes in Department for Treasury. So I'm more than happy to do that. And actually, we've been working together over the last 8 months on things like economic strategy, whole range of issues. So me going into Treasury actually isn't as much of a quantum leap as it might seem from the outside.
The trouble is, there's no minister. I know the chief's standing in, but there's a lot of chit chat about the future of that department.
Absolutely.
You got any comment on that?
Yeah, one of the issues is what we do with this opportunity to look again at the scope of government, and so the council ministers are going to be meeting to discuss that. We've got lots of different options and do the right thing for government and the right thing for the country, and it'd be foolish not to seize that opportunity. I haven't got any preconceived ideas. The department runs very well, but it's going through a process of change. It always does with enterprise, and so we'll be talking about that further over the next couple of weeks.
I mean, it's never quite. Let me try that again. It's done some good things, no doubt, but it's always had a lot of criticism. It's never quite hit the mark on other things. Great plans that never come to fruition.
Well, the Department for Enterprise takes risks. It will go with ideas, often from the agencies, often from industry. Some of them will work out really well. Some of them won't, but at least it tries. And the worst thing for any government is to sit still. The worst thing for the Isle of Man is to sit still when the whole world is changing around us. So I accept criticisms where some of our schemes haven't worked 100%, but we've had some real successes. And it's that risk appetite. It's working with industry. It's working with all the business sectors across our island, which was really interesting and something that I will completely support from a Treasury point of view.
Okay. Well, lots of things to talk about with cost of living, and we're listening very carefully to, as we record this on the Thursday, the United Kingdom's come up with all sorts of plans, and money is going back into people's pockets.
It is.
Are you going to be able to do the same thing?
We've actually already done the same thing. I mean, the announcement by Rishi Sunak was basically about energy prices, and that's what's been driving a lot of the cost of living on our island and a lot of the inflation on our island. Not just oil, gas and electricity, but also the knock-on effects that has for transport, both on islands and off. You'll know if you've got an electric car, haven't you? But if
I've still got to charge it up, and
if you're in a petrol car, you notice at the pumps straight away the difference. Those people with a diesel car will suddenly be spending over £100 on a tank, which they've never done before. What we've done on the Isle of Man or over the last 6 months is committed to putting £6.3 million into the pockets of targeted members of our population, particularly those on low incomes, those on benefits, pensioners, and people who are claiming child benefit. So we've already done that. Now, what they've done in the United Kingdom is go a little bit further. They've done a windfall tax on oil and gas companies.
Which you can't do, obviously.
It's very hard for us to do. They've done a windfall tax there, and they're putting that back into people's pockets in terms of helping them with their energies. £400 for everyone in terms of the energy bills. Their energy bills are going up significantly more than ours. With Ofgem, their price cap, the way it's organised, makes the increase in prices a lot higher all at one go. What government have been doing is working with Manx Utilities, obviously talking to them about any price rises they have to bring in. We have been talking to Manx Gas as well. We've got an independent regulator, Cura, working with Manx Gas to make sure that any price rises that they suggest are brought in gradually. If the price starts going down, discounts for people on the Isle of Man is brought in quite quickly. So instead of twice a year seismic changes as you've got in the UK, I think price rises and price reductions on the Isle of Man will happen throughout the year, so we can balance it out a bit more. But it is an issue, and one of the things that the previous Treasury Minister said they'd do is come forward after the summer recess in October with a statement, with a budget statement. I'm absolutely happy to do that as well. I think what we need to do is see what happens over the summer, make the payments that we've already pledged, the 6.3 million, but then after the summer, once we know what inflation's doing, come back with a much firmer set of proposals to get people over the winter, because obviously that's what people are worried about. During the summer, if the weather's good, touch wood, heating your home isn't such an issue. If we have another cold winter, government will provide for those people in need, and we'll try to help out as much as we can.
And there's grants and all sorts of things for installations of houses.
Absolutely.
It's never been really taken up much, has it? I mean, are you going to push that harder?
Absolutely. The Green Living Grant Scheme we've already made changes to actually, we've got over 1,700 people applied for them. We're looking at rolling out, for instance, loft insulation, making it a lot easier for people to get those grants that are less than £1,000. They can now get friends to put loft insulation in for them. We'll pay 75% of that cost going forward. So there's a lot of emphasis to help people improve the fabric of their homes, to actually not only reduce carbon emissions, but also to help with the energy bills as well.
Because the cost of living is high on the Isle of Man, right? And fuel and everything is higher, right?
Well, I mean, actually, if you look at the pump prices here at the moment, it's considerably cheaper than in a lot of places across.
Is that because we've got this other oil, petrol that's not got something in it that the UK has to have?
There's the ethanol addition that we don't have at the moment. But also, I think the people who run the garages here are fairly smart in terms of where they buy their oil from. They're not making some of the excessive profits we've seen by various companies in the United Kingdom. I think you're right. Because we're a small island, because we bring in a lot of imports, traditionally the price of living has been slightly higher here. That's slightly offset by low taxation, but you have to be earning a certain amount to benefit from that. What government needs to do is look right across the piece to make sure that all the people on our island are looked after, are protected as much as possible, but we can't protect everyone from what are global pressures in terms of prices.
I mean, our inflation was 9%, the UK is 9%, which is not normally we're above that, so I'm guessing that this is not over yet. Any ideas yet?
It isn't. We've got people in Treasury, economists working quite closely to try to predict what's going on, but we're in a completely different world at the moment. We've got record low unemployment, record low interest rates, but record high inflation. We've got just come out of a pandemic with supply problems, supply and demand imbalances, and then we've got a war in Ukraine with people literally turning off the gas as we speak. So it's a very uncertain time, and so it makes it very difficult to predict long term what's going to happen with that. What Treasury's point has always been is to put cash in people's pockets, the 6.3 million that's already been pledged now, but then in October we'll be in a better position to look forward over the next 6 months and make provision for that.
Yeah. So where do you think inflation could be heading?
I mean, certainly the predictions in the United Kingdom are 10%, even higher. We don't know how much of that will translate to the Isle of Man. We are in control, certainly, of our electricity supply, but not in terms of oil and gas supplies. We are in control in terms of transport, and have recently underwritten the flights into London, which have brought prices down and increased connectivity. So we'll be using all the levers at our disposal to try to keep prices down for the people of the Isle of Man.
Your predecessor, though, when it came to the budget, things like pensions, they weren't getting the inflation rate even then. And now that must be very, very worrying to pensioners. Yeah,
and again, I've pledged to come back in October to Tim Walton and make a statement, because we need to look at not just pension increases, but all the benefits that are available for people, particularly working people who are contributing to the economy, looking at how we support working families, support those who are less well off, but also how we target those payments. Because again, although we've got record low unemployment at the moment, there is a skills and labour shortage on the Isle of Man, and that's going to perhaps hold back economic growth. We need to look at growing our economy, even at a time of high inflation, to make sure that we can do the investment that we've pledged in things like health and education.
People are going to look for pay rises. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yep.
And the civil service will be amongst them. And what are you going to say?
People are already looking for pay rises, and there are a whole range of negotiations going on in terms of the private sector.
You're not going to hand out 10%, are you?
In the same way as in the public sector. They're facing the same. We need to be fiscally responsible. That's what every Treasury Minister says.
Okay.
Basically, at the end of the day, we need to live within our means, but also invest for the future, because we've got an economic strategy coming forward as well, and we need to plan for the future.
To finish with, just released the over 75s and TV licences.
Yes.
What's the news on that?
This is something that's been bubbling away for quite a while with conversations with the BBC. The BBC fund TV licences for people over the age of 75 who are on income support, so some of our poorer pensioners. But in the UK, they don't pay for those who are over 75 who aren't on income support. The Isle of Man government has stepped in and has been doing that. It was due for review at the end of this year. Given everything else that's going on and those concerns from pensioners, we've said we're going to carry on and commit to funding that in full for the next 12 months.
What's that costing you?
To continue extending TV licences to over 75s who aren't in receipt of income benefit will cost in the region of £800,000, and we're extending that for the next 12 months to give people that security that with all the other increases going on, that they won't have to reconsider how they budget for TV licences.
Really?
Yep.
So people who actually could afford it are going to get a free one. Isn't that the whole issue?
Because again, what we're trying to do is both target benefits but make sure that everyone on the island is supported. So this is a pragmatic way of saying there's lots of concerns at the moment right across the piece. We're going to freeze any changes on TV licences for the over 75s, keep the status quo going at the moment, come back in October with a clear statement of how we're going to help those people most in need over the winter, but then move forward. Because one of the whole issues is about means testing, needs testing, how we target taxpayers' money really where it's needed without overburdening people with taxation. And so looking at things like energy prices, we have to put that all in the mix.